These are the physics that prove bigger brakes don't automatically stop your car faster. It's a conclusion that goes against decades of automotive marketing and common sense assumptions about braking performance. Most drivers believe the equation is simple. Larger rotors plus bigger calipers equals shorter stopping distances. But the real world of physics tells a completely different story, one that the brake industry doesn't always want you to understand. Let me show you exactly why your tires, not your brakes, determine how quickly your car stops. The fundamental truth about braking comes down to a single physics equation that governs everything. F equals mun. F represents the maximum force your tire can apply to the ground, mu is your tire's coefficient of friction, and n is the normal force pressing down on that tire. This equation has remained unchanged since Newton's time, and no amount of engineering can override it. Here's what this means in practical terms. When your tires have a friction coefficient of 1.0, your car can stop at 1 g of deceleration. That translates to stopping from 60 miles per hour in about 120 feet. But when your tires only have a friction coefficient of 0.7, your stopping distance stretches to 172 feet. No matter how expensive or advanced your brake system is, if your tires can only grip at 0.7, there's simply no way to stop in less than 172 feet using disc brakes alone. Think about it this way. When you can already lock up all 4 wheels with your factory brakes, and virtually all modern cars can do this, then your braking system already has enough torque to overwhelm your tire's grip. Adding more brake torque through larger rotors or more aggressive calipers won't improve anything because you've already maxed out what your tires can handle. This isn't theoretical. StopTech conducted extensive testing at a Camarillo military airstrip in 2002, comparing brake systems of different sizes on identical vehicles. The results were eye-opening. From 80 miles per hour, stopping distances averaged 210.5 feet. From 100 miles per hour, they averaged 333.6 feet. The remarkable finding was that cars with massive Brembo brake upgrades stopped within just 2 feet of vehicles with smaller rotors from 80 miles per hour, and within 5 feet from 100 miles per hour. The only scenario where larger brakes showed meaningful advantage was during repeated high-speed stops when brake temperatures exceeded 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Even then, the benefit was minimal until extreme conditions pushed temperatures over 1,100 degrees. But here's where the story gets more interesting. StopTech discovered something that challenges everything we think we know about brake sizing. When they tested an Audi S4 with F50 calipers, the version equipped with smaller 332mm rotors actually produced shorter stopping distances than the identical setup using larger 355mm rotors. This counterintuitive result reveals a critical factor that most people overlook: brake bias. Every vehicle gets engineered with a specific front-to-rear braking force distribution. Rear-wheel drive cars typically use 60 to 70% front brake bias, while front-wheel drive vehicles push this to 70 to 80%. This balance ensures maximum use of available tire grip from all 4 wheels. When you install oversized front brakes without considering this balance, you disrupt the carefully engineered bias. The front wheels can now generate more stopping force than the rears can match, which means you're not utilizing the full traction potential of your rear tires. Ironically, this makes your car take longer to stop, not shorter. There's another physics principle at work that the bigger is better crowd often misunderstands: the relationship between friction and surface area. Many people assume that larger brake pads create more friction because they have more surface area touching the rotor. This seems logical, but it's wrong. Friction force depends only on the coefficient of friction between materials and the normal force pressing them together. Surface area doesn't factor into the equation at all. Think of it like this. If you poke yourself with a needle using 10 pounds of force, it will penetrate easily. When you press against yourself with a 2-inch diameter rod using the same 10 pounds, it won't do much damage. It's the same force, but the larger surface area distributes that force, reducing pressure per square inch. Larger brake pads work the same way. They spread the same clamping force over a bigger area, which actually reduces the pressure between pad and rotor. The total friction remains the same because you're using the same force with the same materials, just distributed differently. So why do larger brake systems exist at all? The answer lies in heat management, not stopping power. During normal street driving, brake disc temperatures typically reach around 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Even aggressive highway driving might push them to 300 or 400 degrees. But on a racetrack, temperatures can soar to 800 degrees. sometimes reaching 1,400 degrees during extreme conditions. At these temperatures, brake fade becomes a serious problem. Brake fade occurs when components get so hot they lose their friction properties. Brake fluid can boil, creating vapor bubbles that compress under pressure instead of transmitting force. Brake pads can overheat and glaze over, dramatically reducing their grip on the rotor. Larger rotors combat this through increased thermal mass and better heat dissipation. A bigger rotor can absorb more heat before reaching dangerous temperatures, and its larger surface area helps dissipate that heat more effectively. That's why racing brake systems focus on size and cooling rather than just stopping power. But here's where the engineering gets tricky. Each braking system gets designed to operate within a specific temperature range, and larger rotors can actually disrupt this balance during normal driving. Because they have more mass, oversized rotors absorb more heat but also take longer to warm up. This can keep the system below its ideal operating temperature during typical street use. Brake pads and rotors actually need some heat to perform properly. The friction compounds get formulated to work best within certain temperature ranges. Oversized rotors might dissipate heat so effectively that they never reach optimal operating temperature, potentially reducing performance rather than improving it. Then there's the unsprung weight penalty that comes with larger brake components. Unsprung weight includes everything not supported by the vehicle's springs: wheels, tires, brake rotors, calipers, and related hardware. This weight has an outsized impact on performance because it must accelerate and decelerate along with the wheel's rotation. Engineers use a rule of thumb that 1 pound of unsprung weight affects performance like 10 pounds of regular vehicle weight. Real-world testing supports this multiplier effect. When testers reduced wheel weight by 12 pounds per corner on a Mazda Miata, the car's 0 to 60 time improved by 0.29 seconds. Adding 42 pounds of static weight to the trunk only slowed it by 0.14 seconds, showing how much more significant unsprung weight really is. Heavy brake components resist quick suspension movement, causing tires to skip over road irregularities instead of following the surface. This reduces grip in corners and makes the car feel less precise and responsive. For most drivers, this handling penalty outweighs any theoretical braking benefit. There's also a practical consideration that affects daily driving: pedal feel and modulation. Many aftermarket brake kits use multi-piston calipers that require more brake fluid volume than stock single-piston designs. When you upgrade calipers but keep the original master cylinder, you create a mismatch that results in longer pedal travel and mushier feel. Larger master cylinder bore diameter creates a harder pedal with less travel, but also reduces modulation, making it difficult to apply precise braking force. Smaller bore diameters give better modulation but require longer pedal travel to generate the same pressure. Getting this balance right requires careful system engineering, not just bolting on bigger components. Professional racing provides perhaps the most telling evidence about brake sizing priorities. 5-time downhill mountain bike world champion Loic Bruni trusts 220mm rotors for descents that would destroy most brake systems. His choice isn't about maximum size, but about the right tool for the specific job, considering weight, heat management, and performance requirements. The brake industry's marketing often perpetuates the bigger is better myth because it's easier to sell the idea that more equals better. Without considering all variables, the claim that bigger rotors automatically improve performance becomes what one industry expert calls an ego-inflating myth. The truth is that big brake kits primarily benefit high-frequency braking applications like racing, heavy towing, or repeated mountain descents. For typical street driving, they often create more problems than they solve: increased unsprung weight, disrupted brake bias, potential temperature management issues, and compromised pedal feel. Modern anti-lock braking systems add another layer of complexity. A BS gets designed to work with specific brake bias ratios and system characteristics. Significantly altering brake torque distribution can confuse ABS algorithms, potentially making the system less effective at preventing wheel lockup and maintaining steering control during emergency stops. The bottom line comes back to basic physics and system engineering. Your tires are the ultimate arbiters of stopping performance. Once your brakes can overwhelm tire grip, which virtually all modern systems can do, additional brake torque provides no benefit for stopping distance. The most effective ways to improve your car's stopping performance have nothing to do with brake size. High-performance tires with better compounds and tread designs can dramatically reduce stopping distances. Proper tire pressure, good alignment, and fresh brake fluid will do more for real-world braking than oversized rotors. When you're considering a brake upgrade, ask yourself what problem you're trying to solve. For track days or mountain driving where heat buildup is a genuine concern, larger brakes make sense. For daily driving where you want the satisfaction of big calipers visible through your wheels, understand that you're making a cosmetic choice, not a performance one. The physics haven't changed since Newton's time, and they won't change to accommodate marketing claims or enthusiast assumptions. Bigger brakes look impressive and can handle extreme heat better, but they won't help your car stop faster in normal driving conditions. Understanding this distinction helps you make informed decisions based on science rather than marketing, ensuring your modifications actually improve the driving experience rather than just the appearance under your wheels. Make sure you subscribe.